here. I know. Good, sir. How are you? And thanks so much for having me on, man.
You bet. Okay, so, Montel, tell me the story out of Oklahoma.
Well, before I even tell you that, I was listening to you before I just dropped out of the ether here. You were so right. I want to tell you something that happened the other day. I was going to the airport, and in the span, I'm not kidding you, in the span of 2 minutes, one guy came up to me. I was literally going to walk to the bathroom. He stopped me for a second, and he said, I really want to thank you for what you're doing for our vets. I heard you on Glenn Beck, and you know what? I don't know what drew you to be on his show, but when I heard about you being on his show, I tuned in to hear what you had to say. So that's one. Another guy came up to me who would be, and I'm not going to stereotype anybody, but I'm just saying, and I happen to be calling you from Jackson, Tennessee. My family lives here in Jackson, Tennessee, so we're good Southern people. And I had a gentleman come up to me, real heavy Southern accent, saying, "You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I heard you on Glenn, and you don't give up." And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Anybody who would say to me, like I've had others in the I don't know what you call them, conservative media or the other media,
whatever,
say to me, "I don't know why you're talking to Glenn. Why are you talking to Glenn?" And I keep saying, because I can't get an opportunity to talk to anyone else anywhere else. So, and it's not just because you're the only person who wants to talk to me, Glenn. It's because I think we are showing the rest of the country that no matter what your politics are, when it comes to the politics of those who allow us the freedoms we have to put down our differences and come together to solve these problems. Now, what happened in Albuquerque? This is absolutely ridiculous. There's a young man who is, I'm sorry, I don't know his age, and I apologize, because the veteran was sitting in a cafeteria. He was about 500 yards, and I don't know if that's correct, but that's the way the story is saying, right. 500 yards from the emergency room. He has an emergency. They have to call the ambulance from the emergency room to come around to pick him up. A half hour goes by, and he dies because it doesn't arrive.
Do you remember the story, Montel? It happened about 2 or 3 years ago, and I warned the American people at the time. I said, this is what government regulations can do to you, and you have to be very careful of them. Don't let people say you can't feed people. Don't let people say you can't help people. There was a guy who fell into a big pond in one of the big parks in London, and the firemen came, and it was literally 2 feet or 3 feet deep. And they wouldn't let the firemen, the chief said, "You can't go into the pond, you need a ladder." And they're like, "We don't need a ladder, it's 3 feet deep. He's right there," and he was face down. "You can't." And they went and they waited for a ladder. It took them about 40 minutes to get this 2-foot ladder. The pictures of it are amazing. They climbed down in all their gear, and then 30 or 45 minutes later, they fished this guy out, and then they tried to resuscitate him. And I said, that's insane. This is what's happening now. We're looking at regulations over people.
But, here's what's even worse, Glenn. I mean, I'm sorry. I do not understand this. I've been watching the news. Just because we put a man's name up as the future VA secretary, he's not even acting. We put the name out there, and all of a sudden everybody thinks the problem is solved. And the problem is not solved. This is going on. I mean, I spoke to Michael Polk on the show, I think, after we spoke about a week and a half ago. I was down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, with my parents, with my father, with my sister, and my chef. We were over there cooking for some soldiers there. And each one of them walking through the line kind of gave me this look like, I don't know why you're doing this, why you're feeding us. I don't know why you are on this beaten path of not stopping, but thank you. And I kept saying to him, well, you know what? But what I want you to do is call someone else, call a friend, call your mother, call your aunt, call your uncle. Tell them to call into a local radio station and just, do a tirade for a minute. Just say something. Glenn, where's everybody else right now? I don't understand why this wasn't a lead story on each one of the news stations.
I tell you,
each one of the national news programs.
Montel, I think it's because I think people are overwhelmed. I really do. I think they have been beaten down and overwhelmed. There are so many things going on that they don't know what to do.
Well, the public can be overwhelmed, but our government should not be.
Oh, no, the government is no, there's no excuse on the government. No, there's no excuse on the government. The Republicans and the Democrats. And you know what? Let me just speak to, you can speak to the Democrats. Let me just speak to the Republicans. Shame on you. Shame on you. I have voted mainly for Republicans my whole life because I really thought you were the ones who believed in this stuff. You were the ones that really believed in the military and the honor and everything else. We're the ones that are weeping all the time. Listen to Montel Williams. He didn't vote for you. He's weeping now about it. So you've created this lie, and now what are you doing about it? You run time and time again saying you're for the veterans, you're for the veterans. Hey, if you vote for that guy, he's going to cut off funding for our veterans. What are you doing? Where are you?
Glenn, did they not vote themselves or try? Are they not trying to get $2 million to start another Benghazi hearing? And let's also figure out something. I get it. America right now is wrestling within itself. This is kind of like, I would hate to be inside of, the skull of the American brain for a second, watching everything ping around off the walls, because we don't know what to do with these children coming across this border. We have people saying, we got to be compassionate. Oh, but wait, we got to blind the borders. Oh, but we have to be compassionate. They're children, but we have to blind the borders. We're going crazy. I can listen to people behind me on the airplane, sitting at a restaurant table beside you. Oh, you ought to kick them all out. Get rid of them little children. They shouldn't be here. Well, listen, I understand the discussion about them, but while we're talking about it, there are millions of dollars being spent to put these kids on buses, on airplanes, take them to DOD facilities to see if they are healthy or not. And yet we have veterans dying in cafeterias 500 yards away from an emergency room. We have veterans being denied care. There was a veteran who very recently was scheduled for heart surgery, who literally was put on the no-eat regimen for 2 days, waiting for his surgery, and then all of a sudden his surgery was denied. I mean, this stuff is going on and on and on and on every single day, yet we can come up with money anywhere. They want to spend another $2 million to do another Benghazi hearing, and you won't spend money to figure out how much money we owe. And again, Glenn, let's go back to what I've been talking about for the last now month and a half. That's why I have up on my website. You follow me on Twitter at Montel_Williams at #VA Surge petition. I have been asking for a VA surge. I've been asking for this. Every word out of the White House press secretary's mouth on any other issue but the veterans is surge. They're willing to surge for the little kids. They're willing to surge for Iraq. They're willing to surge for everybody else, but they're not willing to take care of our soldiers the way they are. And I sound like, I was at a family member of mine also asked me, dude, you're always on the veterans thing. There's all kinds of other people who have issues. Well, you know what? You're right. There are other issues, but I'm so sorry. These are the people who stood beside me and were willing to take a bullet for me.
I tell you,
these are the people who I served with.
I tell you, Montel, each of us are, and this is what people don't understand, each of us have our own calling in life, and your calling may be to stand for the veterans and make sure that everybody is aware of that and try to recruit as many people as you can. Somebody else, their calling may be for, the border or for whatever, it doesn't matter. But we each have our own, and what we're called to do, we must do. And I have to tell you, I have talked to you several times now about this. I believe you're a man of integrity. We don't agree on everything, but it doesn't matter at this point. We agree on this. I will tell you that I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that a lot of our audience doesn't want to write to the White House. They don't trust, they think that that's a scam. You write to the White House and what? So they can send you, propaganda crap about what we've already done a petition for Tamarisi, the sergeant who is now approaching, day 99? Tomorrow is 100 days. 100 days. White House hasn't responded to the plea. So, Montel, what I'm telling you is right. my audience, right. My audience cares deeply about the VA. They don't know what to do, but if you have concrete ideas, along with what you're saying now, but if you have concrete ideas, you want people to come with you, go someplace, you want whatever you want, I will help you build, I will help you expose. I can't tell you that anybody's going to come, but I think they will. But anything that you want to do, I will help you do.
How about this? Let's do this. Why don't you and I talk about, we're going to have that bowl of cereal. Let's do that. That's got to get done. Number two, why don't we think about this upcoming election? One of the things you said, I don't know if you know this, I voted Republican until I got out of the military. I vote independently now. I don't vote for, I'm not a Democrat, and I never will be, and I'm never going to be a Republican ever again. But I will tell you this, what I do want to do this November is I want to make sure that anybody who voted against or did not vote for something for our veterans, right now, I'm going to hold them accountable. You're going to hear me scream more throughout this upcoming election. I may be the voice in the back of the room at each one of the conventions, each one of the rallies. You're going to start seeing me because I'm going to start making sure that everybody in that crowd understands that you lied, you didn't vote for us, and I'm going to make sure I do whatever I can do to get you out of office.
Okay,
That's what I'm trying to do.
So here's the thing, Montel. We should talk off the air, but I don't know what your contracts are like or whatever. But if you want a place that you can write and you can be, I'll make you the VA. I'll make you the VA guy on the Blaze. There's what is it? 40 million, 30 million unique users of the Blaze every single month. It is quite an amazing site. You want to get the word out, we will help you do it. You just tell me how we can help you, and we will do it, because you are the torch carrier for this, and I am grateful that somebody will stand up and carry this torch.
You call me, I'm ready to stand, so let's work it out. I will give you a call back. I'm gone right now all the way until the 29th. But I'm back, and you can reach me. I'm going to be in Europe for a little bit. If something happens, I'm going to scream to you. I'm going to be calling you because I'm not going to let this go.